What's up, everybody? We are currently sitting in a 2022 Mazda 3 Premium Plus, and today I'm going to show you how to use Mazda's radar cruise control with stop and go and the traffic jam assistant. So we'll go over the controls first, and they're going to be on the right side of the steering wheel here. To activate the radar cruise control, step one is we push this little button with the clock with the car right by it. That's actually a speedometer. That's how we activate the system for the radar cruise control with the stop and go. Once we've pushed that button and we get the car up to speed, this toggle switch right here, either bump it up or bump it down to set the speed. It's beeping at me now because we're not moving, so the speed is not set. Once your speed is set, if you'd like to adjust it, you can bump up to increase your speed or bump down to decrease your speed. That's what the plus and the minus are all about. If you just bump it up or bump it down once, it's going to adjust the speed in 1 mile per hour increments. If you bump it up and hold it, then it will increase or decrease the speed by 5 mile per hour increments, depending on whether you're holding up or down. This inboard toggle switch right here, this is actually how we adjust the following distance between us and the car in front of us with the radar cruise control set. So bump it up for a farther following distance and bump it down for a shorter one. This particular car shows me what's going on in the screen that it uses to project the speedometer. So we can see that there. So that's how you adjust your following distance. Now, if the stop and go portion of the radar cruise control comes into play, if the Mazda is stopped very briefly for like a second, it will start moving again on its own. But if it comes to a complete stop for really any longer than that, you're going to have to intervene to get the car moving again once the car in front of you is moving. The way that you do that is to either push down on this switch to resume or just tap the gas pedal, and either one of those will reactivate the radar cruise control and it'll start following the car in front of you again. Now, as far as the traffic jam assistant goes, we use this little button right here to activate the traffic jam assistant, and what that does is if the car's camera can read the lane lines, it will control the steering. You still have to keep your hands on the steering wheel, but it basically assists you in keeping the car in the center of the lane. That system only works, according to the owner's manual, it works at speeds below 35 miles an hour. In my experience, I've found that the cutoff is actually like 39. Once you hit 40, it's off. So only limited speed function for the traffic jam assistant. It's really meant for when you are stuck in heavy traffic, and it's meant to be a driver assistant thing. You still have to keep your hands on the wheel, and whenever you're using any of these systems, you got to watch what's going on. They're not meant to be self-driving. If you do want to cancel the radar cruise control, I don't know if it's showing up on my camera, but it says cancel right here. So you can push that button to cancel or just tap the brake pedal like any sort of regular cruise control, and that will deactivate the system and then put you in control. So with all that being said, let's get this thing out on the road and demonstrate it for you. All right, so we are on the road. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate the radar cruise control by pushing this button, and the traffic jam assistant by pushing the button with the steering wheel on it. Now, it should be noted that you can use the radar cruise control without the traffic jam assistant, but if you want to use the traffic jam assistant, you have to have the radar cruise control engaged. It only works with the radar cruise control system. It can't work independently. Now we have come to a stop at a stoplight, and now that we're moving again, I am going to bump up on the toggle switch to set my speed, and I'm going to increase my speed to 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, let's say, because that's what the speed limit is on this road. So now, there's a car in front of me. I am locked on to the car in front of me, as this graphic shows. That's why there's a picture of a car out there. And since I've just hit 40 miles per hour, My traffic jam assistant is no longer active. When it is active, the white steering wheel will turn green if it's able to read the lane lines and control the steering based on the speed that it's going. So we are still following the car in front. We've slowed down a little bit, and the car did that on its own. The whole point of the radar cruise control system is it maintains a distance between you and the car in front of you. So if the car in front of you slows down, the Mazda will slow down, and if the car in front of you speeds up, we will speed up to keep up with him. Only to our preset maximum speed. So if you use this system and you're like on an empty road and nobody else is around, it basically just works like regular cruise control, because, you know, if you're on an open highway and you set it to 70, the car is just going to go 70. But if you get behind somebody who's going less than 70, then you're going to slow down. And what just happened there? Yeah, okay, wave at me, good job. So that was an interesting little thing. I'll leave that in. That person just cut me off. They probably would have hit me if I hadn't hit my brakes. In a situation like that, just hit the brake, take control. If somebody comes really close from the side cutting you off like that, don't rely on the radar cruise control to know that they're there. It's not a self-driving system. You still are in charge of driving the car. But now that things have calmed down a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and push that button to resume the cruise control operation. I have to resume it because I did hit the brakes when that truck tried to cut me off. And we are still behind this Honda Civic. Haven't come to a complete stop yet, but that's fine. And we're cruising. This system does its best work, honestly, in heavy stop and go traffic. On the freeway, you can use it on surface streets like I am now, but it's a lot more useful on the freeway in stop and go traffic. It just makes that so much less stressful. Again, it's not a self-driving system. You still need to pay attention to what's going on the road and do your job as a driver, keep your hand on the wheel, everything else. Now that we are below 40 miles an hour, my traffic jam assistant has kicked in and I can feel it kind of controlling the wheel. It's not meant to be like a self-steering system. It just keeps you in the center of your lane, so you kind of feel it tugging at the wheel, adjusting it from time to time. Something to keep in mind when you're using this system is be mindful of what type of vehicle you're following. So the example I always use is a flatbed truck with nothing on the bed. Is the radar cruise control locked on to the very back of the truck, or is it locked on to the back of the cab? So be mindful of your following distance in a situation like that. Something that the Mazda owner's manual says is that it won't lock on to a motorcycle. I'm pretty sure I was using it the other day and I'm pretty sure it did lock onto a motorcycle, so that might just be something that they put in there, you know, to kind of CYA just in case there's ever an issue, because a motorcycle is a smaller vehicle, so there is a chance that the radar system might have more difficulty locking on to a smaller vehicle like that. But those are just things that you need to be mindful of because, again, it's not a self-driving system. Now, I'm only doing 40 here, but I'm coming up to a group of stopped traffic, so I am going to hit the brake pedal and take control of the system, because you don't want to be rushing up to a stopped car like that. Just hit the brakes in a situation like that and be safe. Now I just hit resume to re-engage the cruise control, and the speed limit has gone up to 50. So I'm going to raise my maximum speed to 50 by bumping up to the plus right there. And once again, we are locked onto the car in front of us, and we are cruising. Now in this particular Mazda, there's an info button right here on the left side of the steering wheel, and it has the digital speedometer, so I can kind of scroll through a couple of different screens there. When I'm using the radar cruise control, I find that screen to be the most useful because it gives me the most information about what the system is doing. I don't know if it's showing up on the camera, but this Mazda also has the heads-up display, so that gives me some information about what the radar cruise control system is doing as well. That is helpful too. And if you want to adjust your following distance, again, that's this toggle switch right here. So you bump it down to shorten the following distance and bump it up to lengthen it. So this right here is the shortest following distance, and we are doing 37 miles per hour at the moment. So you can see that's relatively short. I am going to lengthen it out, and you can see that my graphic here is showing me more bars in between me and the car in front of me. And now we are leaving a further distance in between that car. If you're in heavy stop and go traffic, I always recommend using the shortest following distance, just so that people can't cut you off and get in front of you, because in heavy traffic, that's what's going to happen. But if it's not very much traffic, you can use a longer one just to leave a little more room between you and the car in front of you. And it looks like we may be coming to a complete stop. The car is braking on its own. And we are stopped. So the car did that on its own. And now to start moving again, I'm just going to push the resume. And off we go. I also could have just tapped on the gas pedal to get it moving. That works as well, if that's your preference. To each their own. And it looks like we're coming up to another red light, and this nice person is coming to a stop, and so are we. Once again, the car bringing itself to a complete stop. Now, if this light were red and there were no car in front of me, I would have had to use the brakes to stop, because it doesn't recognize red lights. It only recognizes the car in front of it. So keep that in mind as well. It doesn't have that capability. Maybe someday some Mazda will, but as of the recording of this video in May of 2022, sitting in a 2022 model Mazda, doesn't recognize red lights. Now the light turns green, he starts going. I'm just going to tap on the gas pedal this time, and off we go. Back up, following this vehicle. And that's pretty much it. That's how you use the radar cruise control in a Mazda with the stop and go. And it's also how you use the traffic jam assistant. The traffic jam assistant is a little bit limited just based on the speed that it operates at in these cars. Oh, okay, we have a stop sign here, so I'm gonna hit the brake since the person's not in front of me anymore. Looks like we might have a power outage or some kind of a situation. But anyways, the traffic jam assistant only works at certain limited speeds. So it's a little bit limited in its usefulness, in my opinion. Just because of that, it would be nice if it operated at all speeds. The radar cruise control will operate up to 90. So that's good, but it is a very good system in the Mazda. It works very well. And if you have one of these cars, I strongly encourage you to try it out, use it, get comfortable with it, because, hey man, you paid for all the buttons in your car, so use them all. And drive safely, enjoy yourself out there. If you do have any questions, please leave me a comment with your question, and I'll do the best I can to answer it for you. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.